How are we doing, guys? And welcome back to All Leeds TV. We are here with the live player ratings for Leeds 2, Brisbane Roar 1. Whatever way around it was. It was actually Brisbane Roar 1, Leeds 2. But who really cares? Who really cares? It's pre-season, second game of pre-season. We're a little bit late on the play ratings. Apologies, I was a little bit busy yesterday to do a live video. So let's get straight into it, Phil, because team selection-wise, there's a few changes. And we're going to start, first of all, with Klaassen in goal. Again, he comes in, he starts the game. I thought he did pretty well. I thought he made a really, really good save in the second half of the game. I can't remember who had the shot now from Brisbane Roar, but decent save. Just pushed it around the post, slightly outside the box. Quite, it's one of those. It's a bit of a confidence booster. I think more and more I see Klaassen for the first team, not so much the under 23s. I start to think, yeah, you know what? He could be our backup keeper. I think he is showing enough in terms of if you're just purely going off his performances for the first team. He's making constant good save every single time he's on the pitch, if we're being honest.
Yeah, I mean, realistically, it didn't start great for him, did it, in terms of some of his form with the under-23s last season? But, since then, when he's played against Wolves in the Premier League, and then obviously some of the times that we've seen him as well in pre-season, he has looked a bit better. I didn't think it was a great performance, just like in the previous game for Meslier, in terms of there wasn't actually a right lot for him to do, but there was obviously, like you said, that one really good save in the second half. The goal, I think you'd be quite harsh to pick him out and say he could have done more, but at the same time, like defensively for us, we would have liked to keep a clean sheet in a game like that. But I think I was saying to you off air, like the problem with these preseason friendlies is they become so disjointed after half time, if not like half an hour. Like the first half an hour was great to watch. We played some really good football, and it was clear to see like stylistically things are being put in place. But then obviously after that, half an hour mark, the first sub comes on, and half time a raft of changes for both teams, and then it progressively gets less and less suitable to what it is that they're actually trying to train. I think it just sort of breaks down. But yeah, I mean, in terms of Klaassen, he was one of two players for us that completed 90 minutes yesterday. Meslier is apparently going to start and play the vast majority of the next two games. So good for Klaassen to get some minutes. And yeah, like no notable errors, but I just went 6.5. I didn't go any higher than that. I didn't think there was any need to push it to a 7, to be honest. It was just an average performance in terms of not much to do, but when he did do something, it was that one good save.
Yeah, let's get some ratings in the live comments, guys. Let's get some ratings for Klaassen. I thought a little bit better. I think I've gone up to a 7 because of that save. Ultimately, I know obviously the rest of the game is not much to do, but I thought, again, you can't really criticise him for that. That's a decent sign, if anything, that he's not had much to do. Yes, the quality of the team definitely is to be questioned. I'd go with 7. I'm not too fussed. I mean, 7, 6.5. I think 6.75. We can rank that up to a 7.
Yeah, nice. Very good. I like that.
We can rank that up to a 7. I know, manipulating the data, that's called. So, yeah, I thought decent enough performance. I don't think I saw enough to say he's going to really push Meslier this season, but
no,
I'm not panicking if he's coming in next season at times. We don't know what's going to happen, so we'll wait and see. So, let's move on to the back four. Rasmus Christensen, again, I think going forward, contributed a lot. I don't think he created loads of chances. We didn't see that top-class crossing, that top-class ball striking that was kind of associated with Christensen since we signed him, or since we kind of did our scouting on him to see what he's about. But I thought, all in all, a solid performance. I think he just did everything on the pitch to a 7 out of 10 standard for me. I think it was good in kind of every area. Just wasn't outstanding. But that's not a problem for me pre-season. I think he's going to get better and better. I think I've seen a leader about him. I think there's a bit of leadership about him. He does remind me a lot of Berardi. Not in terms of, he's a much more technical footballer than Berardi, but in terms of mentality and the way he goes into challenges and just his general manner reminds me of a lot of Berardi. A bigger Berardi, of course. But yeah, I have a feeling, as Tashin Reckner says there, he's going to be, for me, a cult favourite this season, a cult hero so to speak. I think this season, I think he's someone the Leeds fans will definitely associate with. I think any type of player like Rasmus Christensen tends to be very, very popular at Leeds United, and maybe that's a hot take one game in, but it's a solid 7 out of 10 for me early doors, and he'll only get better.
Yeah, I went slightly higher. When I say slightly, just 7.5. I didn't go like man of the match contender or anything like that. But I just kind of thought when it came to, and I don't have the numbers with me, but who may have had the most touches for Leeds, I imagine he would have been quite high up that list in terms of that he did seem to be really involved in everything that we did, especially in that first half an hour where it was actually really good to watch. If that's what Marsh Ball's going to look like this season, again, look, we'll caveat and we'll say it's a pre-season friendly. It's against Brisbane Roar, who aren't going to be the same kind of level of quality as the teams that we're going to play in the Premier League.
Listen, they just signed Charlie Austin, you know.
Oh, wow. Yeah, in terms of quality, I do think he was one of the better players on the pitch. He the same way that I complimented the way that we attacked down the left against Blackpool for Firpo and Harrison. I thought it was very much the opposite in this game, in that we looked far more threatening down the right, particularly with Christensen bombing forward. So I liked the way that we played there. Obviously, Dan James we'll talk about when we get onto him, but he had a great game as well. So it is easy to come out with that sort of conclusion. But I thought the way that he was calm on the ball, got forward and created chances and got involved moving forward, I was quite happy with. Oscar, I'll let you sort of pick out this super chat. And do you want to wait until we get onto the left backs, or do you want to go ahead?
Well, I think we should. Yeah, let's move on. We'll move on to left back. We'll go right back, left back, then the two centre backs, I reckon. Right, okay. But big thanks to Sean for the super chat. For me, it'd be a no on the should we go for Alioski, but it's not something. Listen, when Alioski went, I didn't want Alioski to go. I thought he was fine as a backup left back, backup who can play loads of different positions, which is always nice. But he's not someone who would actively look to bring back. Personally, Charlie Taylor is a definite no for me. I think it's just because of the way obviously he left. I think it's just too much just kind of happened since as well. That's a no for me as well. But yeah, listen, he'd be a decent option on the bench, but. For me, I don't know if you agree with this, Phil. If we are bringing in a left back, I want it to be someone who's good enough to start games, and really improve us at that left back spot. And some would say Alioski would improve us compared to what Firpo's performances have been, but I still feel I'm not a fan of going back. To be honest, I'm not a fan of going back. I just don't think it's ever really worked for Leeds United. Really, in all honesty, maybe David Batty when he came back. I can't think of many other examples where it's worked well for us. But what do you reckon, Phil?
No, I'd say the same, mate. Look, it's nothing personal. I didn't want Alioski to go when he did go, and if he did come back, I don't doubt that he could do a job, or at least a better one than Firpo did last season. But for me, Victor Orta obviously made the decision to go for Firpo based on the fact that he thought he was better than what we currently had in Alioski. He didn't want Alioski to go. Obviously, that the contract offer was on the table to try and keep him as a squad player, but if you tried to keep him as a squad player and you brought in Junior Firpo thinking he's better, surely we should, like you said, be looking forward to improve our starting lineup. Obviously, lots of mentions of Charlie Taylor. On the same note, really, I'm not really too big a fan of the idea of bringing Charlie Taylor back. In terms of quality, I think he is probably better than Junior Firpo, but like you said, Oscar, going back to Alioski, who had no attitude problem, great sort of relationship with the fans. A lot of fans would be buzzing to see Johnny back, but I don't think too many fans would be that welcoming for Charlie Taylor, given the way he left. So for me, if we are going to get another left back, which I think Junior Firpo's injury has hopefully pushed the club into doing, you can't look beyond people like, I know Brighton are probably going to go and get Tagliafico from Ajax like for less than £5 million. Like a deal like that ideally would be something that we should have been looking at. And for me, not Alioski or Charlie Taylor. It has to be a Premier League starting left back, so that when Junior Firpo is fit, it's not just right, Firpo's back in. Let's actually give Firpo some competition, because at the moment, when he's fit, it doesn't look like Leith Davis is going to be starting Premier League games by choice. We're probably going to revert to putting Jack Harrison out of position, more square pegs round holes. So let's just get an actual left back that can do the job and hopefully do it for a few years, because it has been a problem position for us for a while.
Yeah, no, it has been, to be fair. I think, to be honest, I think Charlie Taylor's probably the only player in sort of the last 10, 12 years who really has put in performances at left back. But for me, it's now. I'm not a fan of bringing back Charlie Taylor. I think he's a good player. But I just think with what happened, whether it was his fault, whether it's Gary Monk's fault, it's just not for me, that one. But let's go to Jack Harrison. Jack Harrison yesterday, I just don't think it seems like a strange thing to say after what happened last season, but certainly based on the first two games, I thought Junior Firpo looked more comfortable at left back than what Jack Harrison has. Of course, Junior Firpo is a natural left back, but I thought Harrison was fine going forward. I thought he did fine going forward. Just defensively, obviously, not so much his tackling, 1v1 defending. It's just positioning at the time. I felt he struggled a little bit with. He's unlucky at the goal. It was a massive deflection. Obviously, it's his man who gets free and scores the tap in. But yeah, I thought it was a decent enough performance, but it did at times look like a winger playing at left back, because he is a winger playing at left back. And I do think if that is the idea, that we're not going to sign a left back, I would personally prefer Pascal in that position, to be totally honest with you. I think Pascal has played really well every single time he's played there. I think he's better at centre back, but he has played well every single time he's been there. He's not great going forwards, but he will give you that solid base. And to be honest with you, with Sinisterra obviously being on that left-hand side, I don't really care as much about the left back not being great going forward. I think Sinisterra is good enough to take it all on his own, in a sense, a bit like Raf did. But yeah, for me, Harrison about a 6 I'd gone for.
Yeah, absolutely same here, mate. I went 6. Don't think it was his best performance, but again, like we said about maybe Dan James all season last year, if you're playing him out of position, you can't expect to get a 10 out of 10 performance. I think going forward, like you said, fine, but defensively didn't look as solid in defence as Junior Firpo does. So make of that what you will. I've given him 6, but had a good performance the previous game against Blackpool. It is pre-season. He's getting minutes under his belt. There's another 45 in there. Obviously, there's rumoured or supposed interest from Newcastle and Tottenham. Fingers crossed that's not going to go anywhere. I don't personally see us getting rid of Rafinha, Calvin, and Jack Harrison in one window. So I kind of think that's a non-starter for me. But I think Harrison will have another good season for us. I think he'll kick on.
Yeah, same. So we'll agree on the 6. We'll agree on the 6 there for Jack Harrison. Let's move on to the centre backs. I can probably do them both in one go. I thought Robin Koch was the stronger of the two. I thought Robin Koch, good performance, good on the ball. I thought he led the line pretty well. I think it's noticeable we are playing a higher line this season. I think Robin Koch is leading that line quite well. He does look like the leader without Liam Cooper there, kind of thing. He's the more senior of obviously the two between Koch and Schuick. But yeah, I thought he was the better of the two. So I've gone 7 out of 10 for Robin Koch, and I've gone 6 for Pascal. I thought Pascal, fine first half. Second half, there's a few times where he did get caught out on that high line. His positioning, he dropped a bit too deep, and then the rest of the team became the spaces started to open up between the defensive midfields because Pascal's dropping a bit too deep, or at times he just didn't really follow his runner. So he struggles a little bit with it, I felt, in that second half. It's a decent enough performance. So 7 for Robin, 6 for Pascal for me.
Yeah, I went similar. I went obviously Koch slightly higher. I went 6.5. Didn't think he deserved to go any higher than that. Pascal I kept at 6. I did think when they were on the pitch together, they weren't too far apart. Maybe Robin Koch was only just marginally better on the ball. But with Pascal in particular, like I said at the beginning, I think the fact that it was a friendly and it starts to become so disjointed. And again, this isn't a criticism. I will get on to the players that came on, but I thought when Urente came on, that partnership between Urente and Strout looks far more shaky than the partnership between.
No, it's exactly that. I felt exactly the same thing. There's another player as well in the team who we will get on to who I felt a similar thing happened in the attack. The attack became disjointed, but as you kind of said there, Phil, it is to be expected in a pre-season friendly. I think it happens for every single team in pre-season. I've seen 1 or 2 bits of some of the other friendlies as well, and it is around that 60th minute mark. The quality of the game, it goes from like a Premier League match to a non-league match. Honestly, the quality of the game, and that's natural when you're making sort of 6, 7 changes at once. It's not going to look great. And to be honest with you, I think it was an advert against the 5 subs. To be honest with you, I think this pre-season, I think it's an advert against it where actually it's not necessarily the best thing in the world having 5 subs. Your team can become really, really disjointed because you're changing half the outfielders. I think we can move on to midfield though, can't we now?
Yeah, I just wanted to say, like, I kind of think that this game in particular, I thought with Blackpool it was all right up till half time. This game in particular, I thought the first half hour was brilliant, and then as soon as we made that first sub, as soon as Dan James came off, it really got shit. The game, it got progressively shitter and shitter as it went on. So let's hope we actually see like a good hour maybe next time against.
We were halted on at the end.
Yeah. Oh, mate, they could have easily come back into it and grabbed the draw. And obviously, as daft as it sounds, there's a trophy to play for here. And we've got 2 Premier League teams to play next. I hope we do sort of take that a bit more seriously. And instead of like rotating and giving minutes, like, can we have an hour of a first team actually giving it a go and no fucking 11 subs at half time? That'd be nice.
Yeah, I mean, it's just pre-season at the end of the day. I don't know how many times I'm going to say that, but yeah, let's move on to the midfield too. I thought first half especially, in fact, they did only play, first 30 is probably a better description for it. It says a Forshaw and Rocker. Forshaw, I thought nice and solid. I think he even picked up an assist for the Dan James goal. Yeah, I thought nice and solid. Won his 50-50s. Yeah, I'd probably go about a 7 for Adam Forshaw. Mark Rocker, I thought, again, I thought it was probably the better of the 2. I thought Mark Rocker, again, really stands out from a technical point of view, particularly now that Rafinha's gone, in terms of what he can do on the ball, the composure. You know, he just is your stereotypical Spanish midfielder, Mark Rocker, in terms of he just keeps the ball. He just keeps the ball. And obviously, there is that tenacity to his game as well. I'd probably go 7s for both. Rocker and Forshaw, to be honest, I thought both were good. Yeah,
I'm just looking through the comments and Scooby D2. You're confusing me. Mate. We are playing at 6 a.m. tomorrow, basically, aren't we? Like we're talking about the last game, so don't worry, you haven't missed it. But yeah, on the.
Is it 6 a.m.? I thought.
5.
Yeah, I think it's tomorrow, isn't it?
Yeah, it's 5:35 in the morning tomorrow.
I'm going to research.
Yeah, double check it now. I don't want to be like.
Why don't you tell me about the midfielders? I'm going to research.
But yeah, I actually went the other way around. I thought Forshaw had a much better game than Rocker, to be honest. Forshaw for me looked up there with the man of the match contenders in terms of really composed on the ball, seemed to be heavily involved in a lot of things that we did. And I liked how when I was messaging you last night, the way that we do different shapes and stuff while that first team was on the pitch. There was times where we sort of went into like a 3-1-3-3, sort of harking back to the Bielsa style. But I like the way that they took it in turns between them, Rocker and Forshaw, but one would drop in between the centre backs. The other would sort of play as a single pivot again, and then we'd have 2 lines of 3 as we moved up. Really interesting sort of tactical systems changing and fluidity in the changes for that first half an hour. As Tash and Reckner said here, I like the partnership between the 2 of them. It's clear to see that the way that they can both progress the ball, to be honest, either by carries or by passes, is really going to be helpful to us in this season. And I kind of thought that it didn't look, and again, I'm attributing this to the amount of changes and the way that it breaks down, but it didn't look quite as convincing with Adams in that position in the second half, I didn't think. But yeah, I mean, I thought Forshaw had the better game of the 2, so I went 7.5 for Forshaw, and I actually only went 6.5 for Rock. I didn't think he had as good a game as he did against Blackpool, but you know there is obviously clear quality there and more minutes under the belt ready for the start of the season.
Let's meet in the middle on both. Let's go with 7. Let's meet in the middle. 6.5 to 7 rounds up to 7. 7 to 7.5, 7.25 rounds back down to 7. 2 sevens.
Yeah, I get to the point with you and these bloody numbers where I'm just like, there's no point in me arguing because you're not going to let me have it anyway. I'll do my 0.5.
Never.
I'll get it out there.
Never. Right, let's move on to the front forward effects. Go on to the right-hand side of the front four. Dan James. I thought Dan James was the best player on the pitch for Leeds, despite only playing half an hour. I thought his game was simplified massively by playing on that right-hand side because I think when he plays on the left, he's got loads of different options. He can take his man on the outside, he can cut on his right foot, he can dribble in field, loads of different options. And I think Dan James's big weakness is his decision making at the end of the day. He doesn't make his decision quick enough. But when he's on that right hand side, his game's a lot simpler. It's take on your fullback, get your cross in, and follow the ball when it's on the other side of the pitch. Make those runs into the far post like Jack Harrison does on the other side. He looked a lot better for that. I thought he took his goal really well. I don't think it was a goalkeeping error. I thought he put it in the one area on that goalkeeper's near post where he couldn't save it. Yes, your top keepers maybe do save it, but I still thought he took the goal well. And then, listen, the cross into Gelhardt was something we haven't seen off Dan James all season. And to be honest with you, the weight of the cross was what really impressed me. He just dinks it in, perfect weight on it, perfect height. And yeah, it's a really strong performance off Dan James. All round, I thought he was just involved throughout the game. And I'm going to go an 8. And it probably would have been higher if he'd got more than half an hour. But really good for his confidence, massive confidence boost. And yeah, it shows to Sinistera, Harrison, that Dan James isn't going to let that place go easily at all. So really encouraging stuff for Dan James. And let's hope it's the first of many to come for Dan James this season. 8 out of 10 for me. What about you, mate?
Yeah, I went absolutely the same, mate. I went 8. He also obviously got the assist for the Brendan Aronson disallowed goal as well. So that could have been 2 assists and a goal in half an hour. So in terms of effective time on the pitch, then obviously you would have to have him as man of the match, just because he didn't complete the first half and someone played to a similar level and completed more minutes. I haven't given him man of the match, but it was between him and one other person. So took his goal really well. Offers a different option back in his normal position on the wing, which I'm happy to see now. Hopefully we have seen the last of him now doing the, what this comment says. I don't want to see any more of the square pegs round hole. I don't want to see him up front. I want to see him on the wings and give him a fair crack at actually doing what we brought him in to do. But yeah, the cross for Joffrey's goal as well, really good. And generally speaking, I know the decision-making thing is something that can be levelled at, Dan James and Jack Harrison, but especially for Dan James in this game, I didn't think it was something that you could really bring up on this occasion. I thought he had pretty much a faultless performance, and like you said, I've gone 8. I could have gone higher, but yeah, I've gone 8 for this time.
Yeah, no, definitely. Let's move on to they seem to have 2 number 10s on the pitch at times, but let's go on to Rodrigo first. It was a strange performance for Rodrigo, really. I thought at times really good, some really nice touches, really good combination play, but then kind of as the half went on, as we spoke about, his half an hour thing, in terms of how good we were for the first 30 minutes. I thought his performance dipped a little bit as it kind of went on. So I'm going for maybe a slightly harsh 6, to be honest with you. I think he was okay, Rodrigo, but I think he needs to produce more to force his way into that starting 11 for me when everyone's available. But you went a little bit higher though, Phil.
Yeah, I mean, generally speaking, I can see why people would say he didn't look interested or give him a 6. But for me, it was almost like he'd do 2 good things and then 1 shit thing. Similar to what we've seen of him in a Leeds shirt before, although I'd say the numbers used to be the other way around. It was 1 good thing and 2 shit things. There was a couple of passes here and there where it was just really loose. But the way that the front 4 joined up with each other and the way that we pressed, I think, in the first half an hour, like I said, I was really happy. The front 4 in general looked quite cohesive, to say that they've not really been together and played in that formation for that long, especially with Aronson in it. And yeah, I mean, wearing the captain's armband again, I'm not saying he should be a captain, and I definitely don't ever want to see him as captain, but at least when he's wearing the armband, to see him sort of taking on some responsibility. And, you are going to misplace passes when you are actually trying to create something with your passes. Like with Pablo Hernandez when he was here, every pass was trying to create something, trying to move us up the pitch into a dangerous area. And I'm less tempted to criticise Rodrigo when I can actually see that that's what he's doing. If he holds onto the ball too long and he gives away a shit pass and it's just a turnover in possession, then I'll laud him for it and make sure people know that, it's just not good enough. But on this occasion, I thought he was trying to move us up the pitch, trying to get that link-up play with the front 3 going as well. And I wasn't too upset with him. So I know a lot of people are going low. I normally get the stigmatized thing thrown at me with Rodrigo because I openly admit I'm not a big fan. But yeah, I gave him a 7, to be honest. I thought he was the better of those 2 10s. And thought, apart from the sloppy bits here and there, he wasn't doing too bad, to be honest. And when I said the captain thing, I'm not saying he should be captain. I thought, I don't want him as captain at all, but at least he seemed to take on the responsibility, like, rather than the Ayling thing towards the back end of last season where the armband gets sent off. It looked like he was at least taking the responsibility seriously. So fair enough. I went higher this time, but doesn't change my opinion. 45 minutes in a pre-season friendly against Brisbane.
Let's go on to Brendan Aronson. I thought the one thing I want to say about Brendan Aronson is that I want to see him in the out and out 10 role before a judge, because he seems to be on the left hand side for a lot of the first half, really, in terms of linking up with Harrison, where it felt like on the dynamic on the left hand side was that Aronson was kind of like playing really, really narrow, so not really like a winger. Harrison was still going ahead of him kind of thing and more as a winger in that kind of sense. But I don't think that really suited Aronson. I think Aronson needs to play in the middle of the pitch where he can just see everything. Everything's available to him. He's picking up the ball where he's used to picking up for Salzburg. Yeah, for me, Aronson, I think even on that right-hand side where he can swing crosses on that with that right foot of his as well, you know, like we've seen for the USA kind of thing. I'm not comparing him at all to KDB, but in terms of the way KDB swings that crossing from the right into a striker who's running onto it kind of thing, I don't think he has that same kind of threat from the left of the front three, really, or the three behind the centre forward. Of course, he does actually get a goal. I thought it was quite harshly disallowed, to be honest. But yeah, I think he's another player, a bit like Rodrigo, whose influence on the game did dip after that half an hour mark. So 6 for me on Aronson, but I do think I've seen enough to say he's a really, really good footballer. Similar to Rocker, very technically gifted, and does stand out in that kind of sense. And hard working off the ball as well, you know, in terms of the way that run into the box. Yes, it was disallowed the goal, but it was encouraging how quickly he got into the box 1 minute into the game. In fact, not even 1 minute into the game, 20 seconds into the game. So very encouraging stuff in that sense, but I did think his performance dipped a little bit. 6 for me.
Yeah, I'd agree, mate. I went 6 as well. Just on the shape thing, like I found it interesting at times. Obviously, we were camped in their box, in their half and the edge of their box, basically, for a vast majority of that first half an hour. So it was interesting to see the shape sort of become like the wing, the fullbacks became wingers, and then the players that were seemingly wingers became like 10s. And then obviously you already had a 10 in the middle, so you had like a row of 5 behind Joffrey as a striker, which was quite fun to watch, and just seeing how we dropped into that 3 at the back and then 1 in front as well. Yeah, it was. I wasn't sure if it did work to Aronson's strengths, to be honest. I know Aronson is a 10, but like you said, on that left-hand side a bit wasn't working for me. I didn't see enough to say that he had a good game. Yeah, he took his goal well, but, you know, I'm not going to be quite as lenient as you. He's fucking offside. So it's not a shame that he was disallowed.
It's harsh. It's harsh. We're talking.
It's not a harsh offside. Like, you know, he's a good yard offside. It's
half a yard. I'm doing your 0.5 thing now. He's 0.5 of a yard offside.
It either is or it isn't, and he is offside. So like it's a fair.
Okay, all right. Deary me, I was just praising him because it was a good bit of movement. Maybe just a little bit too early, kind of thing. I think he even caught out Dan James with how quickly he made the run. But it's good to see. It is still good to see. But let's move on to the lone striker centre forwards, who got himself a really good goal. Joffrey Gelhardt. I think Joffrey Gelhardt is another 8 out of 10 for me. He played a lot more minutes than obviously Dan James, but I never felt, it seems really harsh not to give Joffrey Gelhardt man of the match, but I never felt he influenced it as much as what Dan James did at any sort of time in the game. But still, what a header it was. Linked up play well, kept the ball well. 8 out of 10 for me. 8 out of 10.
Yeah, I can see why people would go higher. I went 8 as well. Like I said earlier on the Dan James thing, if James would have been on the pitch longer, probably would have given it Dan James, but I have given it Joffy, man of the match, just because the absolute state of that header. I'm pretty sure he's smaller than I am. Like, I'm 5'9". He's only little, and he's leapt like a salmon. He's got some serious fucking power on that header. And it's not the first time we've seen him out jump people, win headers. You know, Norwich springs to mind, flicking it on for Rafinha and then getting on the end of it. The way he presses, obviously, in this pre-season so far, again, has been absolutely fantastic. He really leads from the front. And like I was saying to you in the last player ratings, like I'm stopping seeing him now as a promising wonder kid or an under 23s, under 21. I do begin to see like a proper, maybe even a starter. I'm seeing a first team player out and out now. And you know, we've apparently got another striker on the way in. And I was talking to you last night about, you know, do we want another potential wonder kid? What is it that we want from a striker? I want someone to push Patrick Bamford ideally and come in and be able to get in that first team and actually have a chance of minutes. And at the moment, it's hard to see anyone coming in and having as much of an argument to take Bamford's place as Joffy does right now, because Joffy looks ridiculous.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's I don't see how you can not start Joffy at this moment in time. You know, until you know, obviously there's rumours obviously about potential strikers coming in and all this lot, but you've got to go off form, and obviously the way he finished last season. Yeah, I'm not sure Joffy's someone who's going to get us 15, 20 goals next season, but he's certainly someone who I feel like every single game he's going to have an influence of some kind of sort. You know, he's someone who I think can hit similar numbers to what Raf hit in that kind of sense. I think he can mesmerise in that same kind of way. Different player, of course, but similar in terms of those big moments, lovely bits of skill, the ballsiness to take players on, try and be the main man, have that main man mentality that I think I've spoken about a few times, and yeah, encouraging stuff. But yeah, as you say, as Tashin Retner says, Bamford's got a real battle now to get his starting 11 place back, and listen, loyalty can only go so far. We've got to remember it's a year now since we've seen Bamford regularly starting games for Leeds United. Over a year since that. So a lot of time's passed them. And yeah, listen, I've got no problem with Bamford starting next season, but he's going to have to perform to the standard he did in the first Premier League season to keep his place for me, because Joffrey Gelhardt is providing some real competition. And listen, Bamford's not had that throughout his time at Leeds United. You know, he's not really been pushed. I'm not saying he needs to be pushed, but he's never really been under pressure for his position since Kemal Roof left the club. So it's very encouraging in that kind of sense. But should we go on to the subs, Phil?
Yeah, go for it, mate. We're going to go in time order.
Yeah, I was going to say, let's do it. So the sub that kind of came out of nowhere after half an hour, and only actually played half an hour, is, of course, Sinisterra. I've got to be honest, this is one where, you know, before I said we're being very, very similar in terms of our ratings. We're kind of always within one of each other. Sinisterra, I was disappointed with, to be totally honest with you. And I think it's in the same way I was disappointed with Aronson. I think it's more because of the situation, the changes to the team, the whole team dynamic changed when Sinisterra came on. He went on to that kind of left-hand side and everyone else kind of shifted across. I didn't think it really worked particularly well, but I think there's definitely signs he's going to be a top player for us. Yeah, it was 5 for me, to be totally honest with you, but I'm no promise in this area. He's going to be a really good player for Leeds United. There's no doubt about that for me. Yeah, 5 for me. Yeah,
fair enough. Like, I'm not going to argue against it. And to be honest, with the justification for it, I can agree. I went 6.5. I didn't think I was giving him too much of a compliment with that. Like I said to you, in terms of the first half performance, I've thrown a few 7.5s in there. I've thrown a 7, thrown some 8s, and I thought, generally speaking, the first half was a much more fluid performance in terms of it didn't look anywhere near as disjointed. For me, as soon as all those subs get made, it does look disjointed. When he came on first half, I didn't really think he touched the ball all that much, Sinisterra. He had another 15 minutes in the second half, and that just dragged his rating down a bit. I had him at 6.5, but I can't say that he had a great game. I don't think he came on and changed the game. I just I don't think it suited him, and half an hour is a really small sample size to be able to genuinely like character assassinate somebody. So I'm not gonna. You got to give him time. I'm really excited by the signing, and I do think he probably will be a starter at the beginning of the season. But there's a question coming in. I don't know whether you want to answer it, Oscar.
Well, just on Sinisterra, on Sinisterra, the one thing I would say is that fitness levels might be different. He has only just come in. Obviously, Feyenoord might be a lot further back on their pre-season preparations than us. Obviously, we know we play a really intense style of play. That maybe played a part in it as well. You know, he's kind of turned up at Leeds, gone straight off to Australia. It was never really ideal. But for me, Juan Mata, I'm not sure, to be honest. I know people are kind of saying about the Pablo Hernandez stuff, but this could come back to bite me. But it's been a while since Juan Mata's actually played well, kind of thing. I think a lot of the thing with Juan Mata is a little bit like Joe Hart, kind of. A lot of it's because of his name, kind of thing, and all that. But when you actually look at it, he's not played well for a while. To be fair, I'm not saying he's not a good player, and he's someone in training I'm sure would absolutely stand out like a sore thumb in training. But it's not what I'm sure about. I think with the intense style of football, we kind of saw Pablo struggle a little bit more in the Premier League as well. I'm not as convinced on that one. Listen, if he signs, I think it's great experience to have in the squad. He does come across as a really good person, to be fair. Good values, good leadership. I wouldn't have an issue with it, but would it be my first choice in terms of, is it a position we really need? I'm not sure either. But yeah, I wouldn't be massively against it, but it's not one I'd actively look at, to be honest. I think that's probably the best way of putting it. What about you, Phil?
Yeah, I'm very much in the same camp as most people. Like, not really a fan of it. First of all, I know it's something that people say, it's trivial, but his last two clubs, Chelsea and Man United, fuck off.
Well, to be fair, listen, we've not had a great record when we've bought players from these clubs. Let's be totally honest with you. Hopefully, Dan James will be much better this season, but our record hasn't been great in the sort of last 10, 15 years. Cameron Borthwick-Jackson, Scott Wotton, need to go on. Izzy Brown, don't really need to go on much further.
Look, I do get this argument as well. I get, be a great squad player, whatever, potential game changer. Look, we've signed one player over the age of 30 in the last few years, and it was Rodrigo, and most people would argue that hasn't worked. For me, what is he, best part of 35 now, maybe, Mata, and the wages do come into it. Like, even if he is going to do half his wages, he'll still be on something daft a week. That do we really need to be paying a 35-year-old to come sit on the bench and getting 90 grand a week to do that? I'm not really bothered. I think in terms of midfield, we probably have enough already. I wouldn't be upset if they did go out and do another midfielder, but for me, it has to be someone the other side of 30. It can't be someone preaching like coming up to the retirement age as such. So he does a lot of charity work. Lovely fella, seems like a really nice man, but no thank you.
Yeah, if we did sign Mata, obviously I'm gonna welcome him and that kind of sense, everything about that. Because listen, he's been an unbelievable player from Mata. He has been an unbelievable player. Yes, I know it's been for those two clubs, but Valencia, Spain, his experience is absolutely unreal in that kind of sense. But I'm not sure. I'm not as convinced on that one. Maybe he can play a bit of a James Milner kind of Liverpool squad role in terms of everyone praises James Milner's leadership in this and this and that, and he might play sort of 5-10 games for us. But listen, I'm not going to be massively against it, but it's not one that I'd actively look at. I'd be fair enough to look at the striker, left back situation ahead of that at this moment in time. But yeah, that's kind of like our feelings on that anyway. So let's go on to the other subs. I'm going to do it in time order. Right then, let's start with Darko Giabi. Again, I've gone higher than you actually, mate, on the ratings. I thought I was really impressed by him. Really nice touches. Seems to be playing a little bit higher up the pitch. He's someone that, I've listened to the views of a lot of academy coaches on Giabi. And listen, I'm not going to lie. I've even said it on the Calvin Phillips leaving video. Who is he? I did literally say, who is he? Because it was such a surprise that we spent 5 million on someone who 5 million is a lot. But listen, I did say at the time, 5 million for someone from the academy, you must know they're good. You must know they've got some special qualities about them to be spending that kind of money. I thought it was a really good first game. 7 out of 10. 7 out of 10 for me. I thought he was one of our better players in that second half.
Yeah. I don't know. I think I wasn't far behind you. I've only gone 6.5, but I think looking at the two ratings now, I think I probably should have put Sinistera down to a 6. I'm not going to put Giabi up to a 7. I'd rather put Sinistera down just to sort of make that distinction. But similar to you, yeah.
I thought put him down because you're feeling like in a bad mood today. That's my feeling. That sounded so miserable, that Phil.
No, there's an equilibrium as to where I've put
equilibrium. You just wanted to put all out. You never want to give it. Like when I saw you give Dan James and Joffy Gelhardt an 8, he was thinking, I can't give an 8. I can't give an 8.
No, I mean, there's certain players that are on certain numbers that deserve to be there, and I have to. I have to make a distinction as to where and why, but. Yeah, I thought he had some really good touches. I think he looked unflustered is a good word there, to be fair. Yeah, really calm on the ball. And I liked him in the same... I think he did a better job of that role in the second half, perhaps, than I thought Rocker did in the first half, to be fair. I didn't think Rocker offered much. I know people seem to disagree, but look, I think all the ratings for the second half on my side are going to be a little bit lower than the first half, just because I thought the potential of the performance itself was just really disjointed and quite poor to watch at times, but there was clearly bits there that they were trying to stick to the system that was working so well for the first half an hour. It just wasn't quite all coming together in the same way. But yeah, I thought Giabi looked fine. 6.5 from me. You are on mute.
Let's move on to Leith Davis, who also played 45 minutes. Probably enough to get a proper rating out of Leith Davis. About a 6 for me. I thought he was okay. Yeah, didn't really stand out in either defensively or going forward, but I thought he was okay. 6 out of 10.
Yeah, weirdly enough for me, I went 6.5, but a lot of that 0.5 that's been added on was for the same kind of reasons as what we said about Harrison in the first half. Going forward, he looked quite good. In fact, I'd say going forward, he probably looked better than Harrison did in the first half. But yeah, in terms of defensively, I can see why someone would say he didn't look confident. He did get dribbled past a little bit, and I wouldn't be confident of him starting games at left back for us in the Premier League this year. So I can definitely again see why they did go with Harrison there. Sort of toss of a coin which one you think was better in the position, but neither of them really look like a starting left back at the moment. So I actually thought going forward it was a very positive performance from him, but yeah, defensively not quite good enough. And yeah, Oscar, I'll let you do the shout out on that one again. You're still on mute.
Sorry, I keep switching from mute to... I mute myself when you speak, so I don't like what's the name? Feedback to you. But Sean, big thanks for the super chat there again, mate. But yeah, in terms of Juan Mata, myself and Phil discussed that. And I think for us, it's not one we'd be actively against, definitely not, because you look at Juan Mata's CV, his leadership, how good he is as a person. Yeah, there's a lot to like about him. But maybe I was a bit more actively against it. I'm not, though. I'm not actively against it, but I would prefer us to target other areas. And if we have got some spare cash left over and we do value the leadership he can bring, then yeah, okay, I can get a little bit more on board with it. But yeah, listen, if it happens, it happens. But I don't think it's going to be a big part of our season either way, to be totally honest with you. But we'll wait and see. But that's our feelings on.
Keep your scum players, keep your Chelsea players, and piss off.
Phil, right, let's move on to as nuanced as ever there off Phil Miles. Let's go on to Sam Greenwood. Sam Greenwood, yeah, I didn't think it was a great performance for Sam Greenwood. 5 out of 10. Not really much to comment on, really, with Sam Greenwood. A bit of an off day for Sam Greenwood. But again, it was the same for quite a lot of players, so I'm not going to get too worried about that. 5 for me.
Yeah, I'm half tempted to join you. I went 5.5, but yeah, I could go down. I'm easy. The free kicks are getting progressively worse and worse. I don't know what's happened to them, but he needs to get back practicing them. And yeah, it just didn't really seem to do anything right. It seemed to be a bad day at the office, so like I'm not going to go any further. It is what it is.
Fair enough. Let's move on to Cody Drama. Again, 6 out of 10. I thought it was just a classic 6 out of 10 performance for me. Similar to Leith. Just okay. Thought it was okay. Not as good as what he was against Blackpool. But yeah, decent enough performance from probably our backup right back at the start of the season. Third choice when Aidan comes back in as well. That's not my opinion that he should be third choice. I'm just saying that will probably be the reality. He'll be goes third choice, but 6 out of 10 for me, Phil.
Yeah, same here, mate. I thought Davis was slightly better on the left-hand side, especially going forward. But yeah, defensively, probably say Drama had a better game. I don't know. I've gone 6 anyway.
Okay, well, last player to really go in depth on, because the other players didn't really play enough minutes to really go particularly in depth for me. But let's talk about Tyler Adams. I've gone a bit different to you on Tyler Adams. I thought Tyler Adams was quite disappointing, to be honest with you. I thought his performance was really. I just thought he gave the ball away too much, to be totally honest with you. And that's not what kind of associated with Tyler Adams. His passing accuracy, yes, I know there's context to that, but his pass percentage is consistently in the late 80s, 90%, which is kind of unheard of compared to the rest of the squad, other than Mark Rocker. So it's a bit disappointing that when he came on for Rocker and Forshaw, that he couldn't really show that same quality on the ball. Yes, the team was a little bit disjointed. Work rate was fine. I thought he played box to box well, got stuck in when he needed to, but a bit disappointed for me, Tyler Adams, to be totally honest with you. But he will be. He will get better. I think it's a good signing overall. Whether or not he's worth 20 million is up for debate, but if he improves on midfield enough, it'll be money well spent at the end of the day. So, yeah, 5 out of 10 for me. Maybe a bit harsh, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't disagree. I didn't think it was a good showing from him. I went 6. He only got 35 minutes. So he came off with 10 minutes to go for Archie Gray. Yeah, I didn't really see anything. It's one of them where basically if I'm doing the whole, I'll put a 0.5 on for something good, take a 0.5 off for something bad. If you're on the pitch for 35 minutes and I barely notice you, you'll probably come out with a 6. So that's where we've gone. But yeah, I can't say anything springs to memory of him doing something good. It wasn't great, but yeah, I'm still very happy with the signing. I'm still very confident that he's going to do a good job for us in the Premier League this year. So yeah, hopefully not the new Tyler in terms of the way you phrase that, mate. But yeah, we didn't see enough of him in that game. There is still Matthias Klick as well that came on at half time.
There is. Sorry, I spotted him just as I was looking down the list. I thought Matthias Klick. Matthias Klick I thought was better. Again, I've not gone quite as high as you, but I thought 6, maybe a bit of a harsh 6. They did put a really nice move together right at the start of the second half. I think he fed Sinistera down the line. It might have been Cody Drama, actually. Someone from the right made the run. Anyway, again, the game's almost 2 days ago now. But yeah, I thought he was good. I thought he was good, to be fair, when he came on. 6, 7, 6.
6.5, then, yeah.
I've gone for 6 because I don't think he was as good as what Forshaw and Rocker were, personally. I don't think we ever quite had that same level of control in midfield when they came off. But yeah, he's a different kind of player. I admit that, but 6 out of 10 for me.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely agree on the Forshaw thing. I thought Forshaw had a better game than both the other two, Klick and Rocker. But yeah, I actually thought Klick showed some really good touches when he came up. I think some of the link-up play with some of the players that weren't necessarily having a good game as well. He seems to take responsibility for sort of still trying to create something for us. So I was actually really enthused by the way that he came on and actually sort of kept things going and ticking over. I gave him a 7. For me, it's someone that if he does lose his starting place this year, there's definitely no shame for him in becoming a squad player, and we're a stronger squad for having a player like that as a squad player compared to, as harsh as it sounds, maybe like a Shackleton if he's going to go out on loan this season, to be able to bring Klick off the bench rather than some of the kids that were coming off last year. And yeah, I think I'm happy with Matthias Klick at the moment. I'm glad he hasn't gone anywhere.
Yeah, same. I think he's a really good player to have around the squad. He can fill in several different midfield positions. You get that work rate, no problem with him coming in to start games. He might even start the season. We don't know. I think in terms of Mark Rocker, I feel like his position will be pretty secure. But again, it's a case of who plays alongside him. I'd imagine it'll be Tyler Adams, but there's some good competition in that midfield now, which is good to see. Let's just literally just do numbers now for the rest of the players, because we're talking less than half an hour. Some of these players have played. So Patrick Bamford, I'll start with 6.
Yeah, fair enough. I went 6.5, but there's not really much else to say. Just didn't do much.
You just held the ball up from time to time quite well. Missed a decent chance, but good movement. Diego Urente, I've gone a 5 to be honest. I thought Diego Urente was pretty poor.
Yeah, same. I went 5.5. Maybe I'm on the positive side for once. I'm being nice. I'm not sure, but made Strout look worse when he came back on, unfortunately.
Yeah, I felt that as well. Crescencio Somerville, 6 have gone for.
Yeah, fair enough. I mean, I went slightly higher. I went 7. I thought he had a good game when he came on.
Let's round it up. Let's round that up to 7. Actually, I was kind of in between the two, but yeah, I'll round that up. I'll round that up for you, Phil. Archie Gray, again, only 10 minutes. 7, actually.
Yeah, I'd say quite an impressive 10 minutes, to be honest. I thought he was really good. Got stuck
he will
in.
Get minutes this season. He's going to be. He'll be the Joffrey this season for me. He'll be the Joffrey this season. The Pascal and Melier of previous seasons. He is going to get more minutes than what I think we were kind of expecting, kind of like a week or two ago. But I thought, decent. But it was a decent all-round performance. Not quite as convincing as Blackpool, but we will be back as well, of course, with the Aston Villa post-match reaction. I might even try and do some pre-match stuff today. Probably will hopefully get some chance. I'm not sure if we'll get a watch-along out with the time of kickoff. I'm going to try and watch it live, but we'll see how that goes. We'll see how that goes at 5:30 in the morning. But if we have to catch up on the game, like I did with this Brisbane Roar game, I will, of course, do that. And the play ratings might be a little bit later than initially planned, but we will get a play ratings out as well. But Phil, I guess we'll leave it there, mate. It's been an absolute pleasure as always. Make sure you hit that like button and the subscribe button at the same time, because why not? If you're going to like the video, you might as well subscribe as well. And get your comments in. What ratings did you give your man the match? Any ratings that were harsh? And anyone you want to see get more minutes against Villa and Palace? Yeah, let's leave it there anyway, guys. See you later.